All right. All right. All right. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds here. Aha. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Boxing Podcast, special BDA Live edition. We're running a test here because I want to see if I can play small clips during a live stream instead of playing the GIFs, because it's more takes more time to do that. So thank you guys for joining us again. I don't know how long we're going to be on for, but this is just an experiment to see if this new format works. I see we got Gonzalo on the line. Gonzalo, you there? All right. I think he's there, but he's working on his mic. So thanks again for everybody joining us. This is going to be a special one, like I said. And we'll see what happens. I don't know. It could be anything. But the main thing is to see if this stuff even works in the first place. Don't forget to check out BDA, our main channel, if anybody's watching right now. And we're going to be doing the Canelo Smith thing tomorrow, because that fight's just been announced. So stay tuned for that one. All right.
Yeah, hello, BDA. How you doing?
How you doing, Gonzalo? Everything good over there in the Philippines?
I'm doing all right.
Good to hear, man. Good to hear. Look, I'm doing a special episode here over at BDA Live because I want to see, I've been showing GIFs in the last couple of episodes we do. But long story short, it's complicated to do the GIF thing because it takes more time to name them and all that. So I'm trying to see maybe if it works if I just show short clips. So this is an experiment. We are live, by the way, so be careful what you say. I see we got SSB28 in the chat. He says, yo, what's up? How you doing, man? SSB28, shout out to him. Gonzalo, let me share the screen with you. See if this stuff works in the first place. All right. Can you see the screen there?
Yeah, I sure can.
Perfect. All right. So again, ladies and gentlemen, let me just remind you what's going on here. We are doing a film analysis on, because people keep talking about Terence Crawford. How good is he? Is he underrated? Is he overrated? And I just want to take look at a couple of clips here of his strengths, his weaknesses. I don't have clips of the Brook fight. I haven't gotten to that one yet. And I don't have, in this folder, I don't have many Errol Spence clips, although I do have the main one, which is the Brook fight, because Brook really does resemble more of a Crawford fighter. So SSB says, I didn't even know you guys went live on this channel, to be honest. Yeah, it's been a while since it's been a while since we've used this channel. But look, listen, every little bit counts. All right, so Gonzalo, I want to show you a couple of clips here. People talk about how's he gonna, because has Crawford ever fought a pressure fighter? That's a good question to ask, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
I mean, I think the closest would be Raimundo Beltran at lightweight.
That's what I was thinking. Yes.
Right, but that was a lightweight, But still, I mean, it's better than nothing. It was the best Beltran we were gonna get, because he started sliding down a little bit afterwards. But at that point, he was on a good run, and it's interesting what Crawford can do here, because he does a lot of good things. He was very slippery in this fight. First of all, his offense, very quick, 1-2 there, jab to the body. And see, that's the thing, even at lightweight. First of all, you look at Crawford here, his body build doesn't look all that different from welterweight. I mean, maybe a little skinnier, especially up top, but he still had strong legs. And look at that jab to the body. Boom. Doubles him over. But it's really, okay, you know what? Let's jump to the footwork, because this is where he really did a good job of keeping Beltran at bay. Look at this. Overhand right. And then, but look at his feet, Gonzalo. Look at how he, with his rear leg, places his rear leg and starts pivoting away, circling. And he does the Muhammad Ali thing, where he actually sort of like glides in the air while he's turning. See that?
I see that. Yeah. Apollo Creed style, no?
Exactly, yeah, man. So, because we haven't seen him fight this way. in a while. I mean, this fight was in 2014, and it was really the last time we saw him fight a pressure fighter. Everybody else since then, I mean, I guess Kavaluskas, they were fighting in the center of the ring, even though Kavaluskas was a strong fighter. And even then, it was Crawford the guy he was the one that was pushing Kavaluskas back. So we've never really seen fight. So the reason why I bring up a pressure fighter is because Errol Spence is a pressure fighter. So something tells me Crawford's probably going to be doing a lot of that.
Yeah, he. You know, one thing I've noticed. I mean, he's gone down against dubious maybe circumstances against the Mean Machine, and he's got hurt against Gambo. But he does funny faces when he gets tagged up, like he doesn't like it.
You think so?
Yeah, he sticks out his tongue. He does these weird funny faces. Crawford does when he gets connected.
Well, we're gonna check that out, man, because I got clips of him getting hit. But look at this. I mean, he's got beautiful footwork, man. When he wants to get out of the way of punch, like look at this. Nice distance, gets very close, and then he turns him. And he controls him with the right hand, see there? And then he didn't even hit the ropes. That's what you want to do against a pressure fighter. Hold on a second. I got more pivots here. Look at that beautiful pivot, man.
He's got long limbs, so you got to surmise if he's got long hands, he's also got long legs. And this benefits him to be able to pivot out with greater distance.
That's true, man. That's
more
true.
separation, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. But the great thing about him, though, is he can get away with a lot of boxing because his opponents respect his punching power. So even like Beltran's weary of coming in because he knows he could get hit with something. But look at this clip here. He's on the ropes finally. Jab. Beltran doing a good job of changing levels to attack. Right to the body. Left hook. Crawford just ducks, smothers Beltran. And then notice how he places his right arm around Beltran's torso. And he pushes him towards the rope, turns him, and boom. He's out of the corner. I mean, this is high level stuff, man.
Yeah, that's what Roberto Duran used to do, but he put you in there and hook you in, throw a hook as he pins you against. He would pin you with the punch.
Look at this, man. Left, right, catches him with the right, leans back, ducks again. Right arm around Beltran, uses his momentum to turn him. And you're right, there's no follow through though, like Duran. But at least part one of the plan, which is to turn him, at least he does that, and he don't. He just retakes the center of the ring. This is the fight. This is one of the rare guys, by the way, Gonzalo, that was able to go 12 rounds against Crawford and didn't get hurt, didn't hit the canvas. So do you think Crawford can pull this off against Errol Spence?
That's interesting. I mean, Errol Spence is a left-hander. That means that, I mean, and he's longer, so we'll have to see whether he fights lefty or righty himself. Crawford does. I mean, not that just being a left-hander presents such a complicated style that you're not going to be able to fight like you usually do, and just because Beltran's a right-hander, that if Errol Spence is a left-hander, he's not going to be able to do some of the same things that Beltran is doing, and even with greater with greater success, because I mean Errol Spence is longer, right? But there'll be certainly some clashing of the feet where they do step on each other. If Errol Spence pressures and they're both fighting at a left-handed stance, yeah, they are going to be stepping on each other. There might even be some clashes of heads. So that's what comes to mind when I think of that.
Well, there's also the big question, which is if Crawford and Spence do fight. I mean, of course, Spence has to get past Garcia to do that this coming December. But if they do fight, is Crawford going to start out righty? Is he going to start southpaw? And which one would benefit him best? That's the main question.
It seems like when he's fighting righty, he's getting tagged up a lot, especially by the jab. So if he comes out righty against Errol Spence was keeping Mikey Garcia on the edge of his jab. I mean, yeah, this is different because Crawford is longer, But I mean, Errol Spence has a good jab, regardless of who he's facing. He's got a really, really good straight jab.
Who's the last southpaw that Crawford fought?
Maybe Indongo was Indongo southpaw,
Yeah, Indongo was a southpaw. Yeah, so he hasn't fought a lot of
and
southpaws himself. I mean, I'm not saying he's
was
gonna have trouble with it.
Posto southpaw.
No. He was a righty.
Okay.
He was a righty. Now, Gonzalo, look at this clip here. This is what he's gonna probably be doing a lot of against a guy like Spence, jabbing. If Spence puts pressure, because I think the Spence Crawford fight, I actually think it's going to be a bit of a more of a boxing match than we think. And maybe later on, if Spence sees that he's not having success in the middle of the ring, maybe then he'll try to put some pressure on Crawford. But like in the beginning, I think he's going to try to see if he can outbox Crawford in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, I see Spence having success with that. He's got a really, really good jab. We've seen that Crawford has power and that jab too. Like he's been tagging up Beltran here, and the way he knocked out Kell Brook, that was like a jab half hook, like a check hook. But it's kind of like the jab, right? Because he got power on it. He extends it just ever so slightly, and it delivers power. But more of on a consistent level to what you're saying. I think Errol Spence's jab is more consistent.
Right. Now look at this move here, man. He's right in front of him, right in Beltran's range, not afraid. Boom, catches him with a counter right hook, pivots, keeps turning away. Beltran is throwing shots. Crawford seems to be very relaxed, just moving back against the ropes. Rolls with the left. Rolls with the left here, the left hook, and then leans to the right. And then again, just turns him. And, well, clinches him. I mean, he's slippery when he wants to be, man. It seems like the best way to catch him is when he's training with you. But a lot of guys are afraid of training with him because the guy's got power. See, that's the thing. He's got everything. He's got speed, defense, balls, and he's got power on top of
it. Yeah, I think right there when he's showing to be slippery and relaxed, there's an opportunity to catch him there because too much relaxedness, being too relaxed and keeping your hands down while thinking you're in control, more often than not, that's not a good thing always.
That's
especially
true,
if you're facing a puncher.
Now, look, listen, let's take a look because this fight was in 2014. That's 6 years ago, man. And I didn't have a chance we didn't have a chance to finish the Crawford Brook preview because of the technical issues with YouTube sites. On YouTube side, I should say. But because again, the Kavaluskas fight, there was some cause for concern there. Number one, like we saw on that episode, the jab. He got hit with a lot of jabs. He was essentially losing the battle of the lead hands, if you ask me. And, you know, at some point, I remember thinking in the third, fourth round, I remember thinking, man, Kavaluskas might actually win this. Because he had a good game plan. Keeping him turning, catch him coming in. Because, again, we saw how Crawford can be slippery when he wants to, when he's sliding away and all that. But when he's coming in, he lifts his chin up in the air. So look at what happens here. He runs into a left. And look at his chin, wide open in the air, center, side, boom. He's got a good chin, though. I mean, I know Gamboa stunned him and all that, but damn, that was a monster shot from a strong guy. And he just came right back like, all right, what else you got? Did you see that, man?
Yeah. Probably right on the tip of the chin, too.
Now, the one that he didn't seem to take very well was this one. Oh, shit, sorry. I forgot to put it full screen here. All right, this one here. See, again, Kavaluskas changed levels, and this is something that Crawford still does to this day. He drops his hands. Boom, caught it. And actually, I think the right stunned him, but it was this one right here, this left hook here, chopping shot. I think that just made matters worse. Because when's the last time you saw Crawford clinch? Like this. That was a knockdown, man.
Yeah, that was a knockdown for sure. There's a lot of wrestling going on, but he hit it pretty well.
Yeah,
Credit
he
to
did.
him because, yeah.
In a way, man. Yeah, man. Now look at this here. Feints with the right. And again, look at how far off he extends his hands, Crawford does. And he leaves his chin up in the air. Look at this. It's like, again, this is why I'm excited to see a Crawford Spence fight, because both guys are going to get hit, man. See that? Again, the exchanges. Kavaliauskas is one of the rare fighters who had the balls to exchange with Crawford, probably because he's used to being the stronger guy in the ring, and he probably figured, okay. But see how Crawford gets too relaxed in the clinches. He steps back from this exchange, hands down, chin up in the air, boom, catch the left hook. But I think it's his traps. I know the neck is good to absorb the shots, but I think the traps in this case, because he's got good developed traps here, I think that allows him to take, or maybe it's just a mentality. Maybe he's one of those guys just doesn't give a fuck if he gets hit.
Yeah, that's not too wise, too smart. When's the last time he's faced a puncher, like you said, that he's going to be able to soak up all those shots if he gets hit with those? Because he got the long arms, so there's a lot of space in between for him to get punched. Similar to Deontay Wilder, man. I mean, he's not as reckless as Deontay Wilder, but for everything that he does good, there are some things that he does bad.
They're very bad, yeah.
Even with yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It's right now. It's okay. He's getting away with it because of his power, but he's got technical deficiencies. And Errol Spence.
It's like
go ahead.
It's like this. Like many times last time you brought up highlights, not this time around, but a while back ago when we were seeing some of Terence Crawford's deficiencies. Mm-hmm. Look, he's got good footwork. Like 9 or 8 times out of 10, he could do things very well with his feet. But just because he does things very well with his feet doesn't mean that at times with his feet he also does bad things. For everything that he does good with his feet, sometimes he's also clumsy in there.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that people just sometimes have a hard time understanding. Just because a fighter's supposed to be good at something doesn't mean that something that he does well, that sometimes he can also do bad. Mm-hmm. And I see a lot of deficiencies along the same lines. So the things he does well, he sometimes does bad.
Exactly, man. And he seems to be one tactic that seems to work against him a lot is when you do 1-2-1 or 2-1. So, for example, see here, right hand, left hand. Okay, that's one. You go, okay, yeah, maybe it's I don't know. He's out of focus or something. I mean, I don't know. But then again, 1-2-1, and then he finally counters afterwards, leans back and boom. He's very strong, man. He's a very strong guy, though. It seems like short shots, even with his long arms, he can get them to work. Hold on a second. I had more clips here. Right, left, right. All right, see this one? Left hook, right hand, left hook. It's all left hooks right there. I'm looking for... There's another one here. Overhand, and then follows it up with a... Oh, no, that's not it, man. Hold on. I think it's this one. He goes down, up, and then the right hand. So if you go 2-1-2-1 or 1-2-1, he's there to be hit. I don't know why. For some reason he seems to fall for it. I think it's because those type of shots, they straighten his head up or something. It's very bizarre. Overhand right. I'm looking for the specific shot here. Overhand left, lead left hook, counter jab, down up. Oh yeah, it's down up, I think. Yeah, should have named it something else. Down up. And then you get this one as well here. Oh, it's the same one? What the fuck?
The 1-2-1s that's one of the best combinations. 1-2-1 straight punches.
This one. See, he's a southpaw here. Right to the body. Boom. He was rolling with it a little bit, but he got it flush, man. He got it flush. Boom. And again, Kavaliauskas is probably the last strong fighter that he fought that wasn't afraid to tangle with him, but he just got overwhelmed, which is amazing if you think about it, because everybody thinks of Crawford as this lean beanpole, but now people are starting to see he's got power. Now, Gonzalo, the other thing is people, After the Brook fight, people were like, "Oh, Brook was dehydrated and all that." I agree. He did. He wasn't. 147. He should never fight. If he fights again, he should never fight 147 again. But who else could have taken him out in 4 rounds with the explosiveness that Crawford did? Keith Thurman, Errol Spence. I mean, Errol Spence would have stopped him, but you know what I mean? Like, who else could have done what Crawford did?
I don't know. I don't know, man. It's kind of a shame because I do think that Crawford is more of a complete fighter than what I thought because of those two things you mentioned. His power was kind of underrated. He's more of a power puncher than what I thought. He hit harder before, but now he's just hitting at another level from what I can tell at this higher weight classes. And he's also, like you said, a strong fighter. But it's kind of a shame because I can't really answer that question because we don't really know if Kell Brook was a shot fighter or not, like 100%.
I think I mean, I wouldn't say he was shot, but he definitely shouldn't be fighting 147.
Yeah, who else could have taken him out in less than 4 rounds? I mean, he's the first guy to ever do it. Golovkin did it in, I think, 5, and Errol Spence did it in 11. But I mean, that wasn't the same guy. This wasn't the same he was before.
That's true.
He was a shell of himself, man.
Now, let me show you. Now, we've seen a couple of clips of Errol Spence. I mean, of Crawford. Oh, we saw his strengths before. This is Errol Spence against Kell Brook. Ah, shit. I forgot to. Hold on a second. I got to take the sound off. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, because Gonzalo, somebody once mentioned, it was Thunderdome over at one of Precise's videos. He said that Crawford's power is like the end of a chain. With, you're like a metal ball in a chain. That like, getting hit with Crawford is like getting hit at the end of a metal ball on the end of a chain, right? Whereas what Spence's power is more like a hammer, getting hit with a hammer. They're both hitting hard, but it's different type of power. What do you think? Do you think there's something to it? Like, how would you describe both their powers and the difference between their power?
That's interesting. Yeah, I like the ball and chain of effect, where it comes a little bit. The long wire arms, it's not gonna come exactly when you think. It has a little bit of a delayed reaction because his arms are so long that when you're expecting the punch, maybe it comes a little later, and it's got that kind of a whiplash effect. He's hitting hard because, I mean, the dude's got long arms. He must have big hands, and they must be heavy, and heavier than what I thought they were before. So he's definitely a power puncher. And I mean, Errol Spence, he's kind of like a break you down type of guy. Hits really hard to the body with both hands, and I mean, definitely hit hard upstairs as well. And he'll
Shit, sorry, are you still there, Gazelle?
Yeah.
Sorry,
it's pretty much at the time that you think you're gonna get hit with the end of his punch, you can kind of like anticipate that and brace yourself to take that punch against Errol Spence. But against Terence Crawford, you might be expecting that shot half a sec, a little bit of a fraction of a less than the moment that you're gonna get hit with it. That you don't know exactly where it's gonna hit you and at the time that's gonna hit you.
Exactly.
Because he can also throw a punch that you don't see coming because you don't know where the end of the shot's that ball and that ball and chain's gonna land. It's just it comes from a weird angle because his arms are so long. But with Errol Spence, they're more of a straight punch, which is also an advantage because the punch gets there quicker. But you can also see the direction of the path that the punch is gonna travel. That you could kind of expect to embrace yourself to take that shot a little better than the Terence Crawford punch. It's a weird dynamic with the Terence Crawford punch.
Yeah, man. I mean, they both hit hard, but it's almost like how would I say? Okay, compare Daniel Jacobs' power to Triple G. Triple G is the hammer. Daniel Jacobs is more like a whipping effect because he's got big long arms, and the speed is different too as well. He's got faster hands. Jacobs, Crawford, and Wilder, believe it or not, I actually think they have similar type power, not in terms of degree, but in terms of category, which is like, again, that whiplash or wiry power. Now, of course, Deontay Wilder dwarfs all of these guys with that one big right hand, which he throws better than anything else he does or anything else he has in his arsenal. Now, Crawford and Jacobs are better technically, and they don't hit as hard, But I think the same thing is there. They got sort of like whipping shots that you look at them, you go, how's he going to knock somebody out with them or whatever? But man, they got like, it's the end of the shot with the velocity combined. I don't know if you remember the Hank Lundy fight, the Crawford Lundy fight.
A little bit, yeah. I remember. I watched that live, yeah.
Yeah, because that was one interesting fight. People forget about this because Lundy actually had good hand speed himself. Now you can see here Crawford. He hit him with a jab, doing good work here defensively. But again, see how he keeps that chin up in the air a little bit? And he closes his eyes just a little bit. But he keeps very good sense of the distance there. And he tries to counter immediately. This was at 140, I believe. See again. Yeah.
The interesting, what do you have to say about how to describe his power? What amazed me is he's kind of keeping his arms already. Well, not in that shot, but in the like that lead check hook type of a jab that he knocked out Kell Brook. His hand is already partially extended, where he's not really getting a lot of torque or putting a lot of leverage behind the hand, and he's still knocking you out. What is it? Is he turning his shoulder, even though the arm is extended to where it's maybe like a wave, like a tsunami? You can't tell that the wave's gonna be that big, but when it hits you, he's creating like a lot of inertia with the shoulder. That even though he's not fully extending the arm because it's already half extended against that punch he landed against Kell Brook, and I've seen him landed against others, to where he's still generating a lot of power, right?
Well, I mean, let's take a look at this shot here. He's from the southpaw position.
Because you can bend your knees a little bit, then you can rotate your waist, and you could throw your shoulder behind it and just put a little oomph behind it, to where even though your arm is still like half extended and he's not creating a lot of leverage, he's still knocking these guys out. Why? Is he creating a lot of like force from the bottom of his feet coming up like a tidal wave?
Well,
when it kind of does extend at the end, there's a lot of power coming behind it.
First of all, I'm glad you mentioned surfing, because in this clip, his trunks look like surfer's trunks or something. Like they look like swimming trunks. But anyway,
that's look, right.
When he's coming in with the jab, he's actually, you see how he's sitting, he's changing his level just a little bit, which means he's sitting on his punch. So I think that's number one. The guy's sitting on his punch. And he's actually got pretty thick calves. They're not very well defined. Definitely not in Manny Pacquiao's league, but they do look like they're thick calves. So he's coming in, planting himself. Now, the one thing that's bizarre is that he's got the right hand, I mean the left hand cocked, but he's got the elbow very far from the body. I don't know if you see there, which is usually a no-no.
That's a bad thing, yeah.
But I think it works for him because he's already got the elbow up, and so because he's so strong physically, he just turns on it. There's a lot of follow through too on that shot. I think that's also part of it, Gonzalo. It's the fucking follow through. He's trying to rip his head off with it.
Yeah, I always thought that when I throw a punch, I like to keep my elbows tucked because the punches come out straighter and they reach the target faster. But I think even if he tried to throw a punch down the middle, he knew that he wasn't going to get to Hank Lundy because Hank Lundy's protecting himself down down the middle. So I mean, he came with the overhand shot, although Hank Lundy partially blocked it with his shoulder. I mean, that was the shot to take, right?
He took it like he was trying to block it with the shoulder, but he cut it right on the chin, man.
Okay.
He's loading up on the left hand for sure. And at this point, the reason why I think he doesn't care about keeping the elbow pinned to the body is because look at this, he's already close. He doesn't have to hide it. He's so quick because we're looking at it in slow motion, but you look at it fast. See how he closes the distance? He flicked the jab 2 times, and Lundy bought it, and he was trying to roll with the left, but he was too late. He was too quick. He distracted him with the 2 rights, and by the time he threw the second flick, he was already in distance. See how he already closed the distance here? And then boom.
Yeah, one thing that I've noticed is like he's quick, but sometimes he looks slow, but it's just like it's something that it's deceiving to the eye because he's really fast, but
Hmm.
his punches have like maybe a little bit of a delayed reaction because his arms are so long, and he comes over and around sometimes that you don't know where the shot's exactly gonna land. So, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes I think that people fighters may they don't anticipate when exactly the shot is coming or from what direction that they get stunned.
Well, speaking of direction, I mean, look at this. Here he stunned him with that 1-2 we saw previously. So he drove him to the ropes, just a nice 1-2 just to touch him up, left, right uppercut, and then comes this left hand. Now you see the arc he creates with it. Again, way up in the air, so that when it drops, there's going to be a lot of velocity and weight behind it. And because they're long arms, it's almost like remember Margarito's uppercuts? He
Yeah,
had
yeah,
he had very long arms, and he threw them from like
pushing up. Yeah,
exactly. This is the opposite: long arms but pushing down. Same thing, long arms but pushing down. See that? Boom, right on the temple. That hurt him. So it seems like he's
Deontay
just
Wilder. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's got like Deontay Wilderish type power with those long arms. And this is with the knockdown here. Well, here was just like a little finishing touch there just to drop him. And this is the stoppage on the ropes. Again, very. Notice how he throws his hooks wide, but with. You can tell he's putting a lot of weight behind them. Look at this. See how it looks? Chin up in the air. His right hand is down. But he's. I mean, look at this swing. See this?
it's also like he has that dynamic where his shoulders are wide and his waist is narrow. That also creates that swivel torque effect.
Yeah. I think that's it, man. That's it's bizarre, man. He's a bizarre. Like when you brought up the Tommy Hearns thing the other day, obviously you weren't saying he's Tommy Hearns as in quality, but in terms of style and body build, it's almost like the same thing. He's got a strong core too. I think that's what works.
Yeah, yeah, and you know what? The more I thought about it, and the reason I bring it up, I brought it up again. Not to be like overbearing, but because since I kind of underrated his power, and now that I'm learning more things, now that I'm paying more closer attention, I'm kind of like seeing that more. Really, to tell you the truth, it's just a shame that it had to be against a Kell Brook that fought at 47. If it would have been a bigger guy and he would have done it with the same type of performance against a more credible opponent, I'd be saying that 100%, man. He's got that Tommy Hearns power.
Hmm. Now, speaking like we said, there's different type of power, right? Crawford is like a more explosive type guy. He's gonna catch you with one shot and take you down. By the way, we got Revolucion in the chat room. He says, "Hi guys, how you doing, Revolucion? Are you at work right now, or let us know in the chat." We're just doing a little experiment here, everybody. We're comparing Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. We're doing an experiment here at BDA Live to see if this format works, and then we can try it out somewhere else. Gonzalo, we were talking about power, right? Let's take, and we've seen Crawford a little bit. Crawford relies a lot on reflexes, hand speed, foot speed. Let's take a look at what's his name, Errol Spence's style. What's his name? And again, very different style. I would say more classically well schooled. Whereas Crawford
you mentioned the Crawford keeps the elbows kind of wide. The opposite with Spence elbows
exactly. Exactly. Well, look at this. Check this clip out here. Big difference between Crawford and Spence. Like you said, he's got a conventional guard. He uses his gloves to block shots. He can parry too. He can also use his legs, by the way, and to keep the distance and make the guys miss. But he does something that Crawford doesn't do that often, which is using a guard. So here we see that to full effect. And it's an active guard too, right, Gonzalo? Meaning, he's not just blocking, but he's actually moving the hands.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Gonzalo, let me ask you something. Are you a fan of these grand gloves with the metallic look to them, which is like Mayweather? He's the one that made them popular back in 2013 when he fought Canelo. Are you a fan of this type of gloves, or is this like too flashy for you?
They're nice, man. Yeah. expensive. Those gloves are probably like, I don't know, $4,000.
Yeah, they're custom made for sure. By the way, Revolucion says, I'm resting, recovering. I'm going to try to do 1,000 squats one day this week. Enough about me. Rock this video, boys. Hit me up if you need backup. What? He's going to do 1,000 squats. Jeez, man. His ass is going to hurt the next
Jesus.
day. Yeah, his butt cheeks are going to be flaring the next day. What was I going to say? Okay, so yeah, so we got... now, in terms of power here, see how, well, that's not the best example, but just like Crawford, he works behind the jab to get inside. That's not the best clip. But even then, short left hand and he pushes Brook back. So he's got power behind that. All right, let's take a look at this one. No, that's not. Well, I mean, we'll get back to that clip later. Okay, so he can counter too. And this is something, Gonzalo, this is why I said that maybe against Crawford, he'll try to keep him on the outside a little bit and try to box with him before he starts putting the pressure. So you see here, Brook plants his... It's interesting also, Brook, how he plants his... See how he plants his rear leg to, how do you say, propulse himself? Like to propel himself, rather. See that? Places it. And then
Yeah.
Mayweather used to do that too a lot when he pot shotted, because it plants you to go forward, to propel yourself forward. So he goes to the right, Brook.
Yep.
But Spence keeps his guard tight, drops the elbows to drive that right hand down, and he has him in position for a boom. Actually hit him more like with the side of the glove here.
Hit him with the elbow. That was an elbow. Well,
Yeah,
not necessarily, but he
almost.
cut him with the forearm.
Yeah, it was with the side of the glove, but he could have kept the arm this way, curved, and he definitely could have hit him with an elbow. But still, look at how he turns his hips.
No, he did hit him with the. I think sometimes it's hard to appreciate, but I think the force has got to be. He made contact with the elbow or with the forearm.
Yeah, maybe, man. I don't know. Listen, the point is that and then he's got like you said, he's got long arms too. Not as long as Crawford's, by the way. I think Crawford's got the longest arms at welterweight. But that jab of his, see how he keeps his guard up. So his right hand, his jab hand, is already up. So all he has to do is step forward and unleashes it, uncoils it like a cobra. Sort of like a winky right type jab. And he just, boom, snaps his head back. And then another one. And he keeps the distance. See that? This is the second jab. See how he's at the perfect distance to throw that left. But he kept it cocked. He didn't throw it.
So it gets a lot of extension on that, man. He uses his whole body to really extend out there.
Yeah, he does. Look at this. Boom. And you can tell it's a hard jab. Like the way it's snapping and thudding. That's why I say it's a different type. Look at this. That's when people say, well, Brook was shot or he had trouble making 147. Okay, yeah, he was. 147 is not his weight. He's too muscular for that. But these are the type of jabs over the long run. They wear a guy down. Look at this. Boom.
That's a power jab. That's like a right hand almost.
It's a shotgun jab. It's a shotgun jab because look at how his foot, he's stepping into it. Boom. He's actually lifting it off the air and then stepping in there. Boom. Now, based on what we're seeing so far here, Gonzalo, would that jab be enough to not only keep up with Crawford on the outside, but actually outbox him from the outside?
In the jab department, I would say, yeah, Errol Spence is more consistent with the jab. And was it a harder jab? I would say actually it is a harder jab. But I wouldn't be surprised if like Errol Spence threw 10 punches or 10 jabs, that 7 of those jabs would be harder. But I would say that Crawford could throw 3 jabs as equally, or if not, harder. Mm-hmm. But he would have to pick moment to throw that jab. He's going to try to pick that moment where he's going to throw punch for punch, where he's going to try to land a harder shot than you are. Meaning that when he finds like a little bit of maybe Errol Spence is throwing 1, 2, and at the time that he throws his weakest jab, Terence Crawford will throw his hardest jab. That's the type of fight that's how Terence Crawford fights. He tries to pick his moments
hmm And I think it's
to
because he's
land the harder shots, right? Even though the other guy hits hard too.
yeah, but I think that's because he's confident in his power. Like he knows he's gonna catch you and probably, like we've seen lately, take you out with one shot. Um, you know, they. I think it's fair to say Crawford has faster hands than Spence, but timing beats speed.
But
Yeah, go ahead.
maybe because since Errol Spence keeps his shoulders correction, since he keeps his elbows tucked, the direction like if this were geometry, the punch gets to the target in a straight line, and Terence Crawford punches a little wider. The straight punch is always going to reach his target before the wide punch.
hmm
So even though Terence Crawford might be slightly faster, Errol Spence's punches travel a straighter distance, so they arrive to the target maybe a little sooner than the faster Crawford.
But Crawford can throw straight shots too. I mean, let's take a look
Yeah,
at
yeah, for sure.
the Dulorme fight. Although it was a while back, this fight. This was in 5 years ago. But it's still, it hasn't changed that much. Crawford. Well, maybe he's getting hit a little bit more, but uh, hold on. I'm looking for. There's one specific clip here where he throws a beautiful one too. Oh yeah, this is when he hurts Dulorme here with that one too. Check this out. I said, check this out. See ya. Oh, it wasn't a 1-2. It was a lead left hook, more like a slap just to stun him, keep him distracted, and then boom. But again, you know what though? Scratch that. That's about his straightest right hand that he can throw, but it's still not as straight, like you said, as an Errol Spence punch. Because again, look at how he's already got the elbow flared up there. See that?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the thing. It's a very Deontay Wilder like type right hand because he steps in with the slap there with the left, and then he's sort of jumping forward like Wilder does, and he does have that right hand cocked, and then he just whoom turns, and look at the follow through he has on that. Look at how he also twists the leg forward and sits and curves the leg so that he's actually sitting down on the punch and making it travel slightly downward, and he just pushes Dulorme back and hurts him.
That's a good example for glove gate with Terence
mean?
Crawford. How the glove opens up.
Okay, come on. Makes no sense, man. Come on, man.
The no padding in the gloves. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think one thing that I don't. I mean, I don't think I know. One thing I don't like about Errol Spence is this part here. When he jabs against a good boxer, especially a good right-hander who's trying to use the distance to stay away from him, see that how Brook takes a step back and Spence throws a left. He tends to sometimes see that jabs and he dips to his left. Spence does, and he can get. In this fight, Brook was leaning on him. Hold on, let me see if I can find a good. Actually, hold on. There's clips. I got some clips here where he's leaning. He leans too much towards the left, and that allows guys, I should say, to lean on him. For example, this shot here.
Yeah, he's a body puncher. That's why he's trying to get torque on the shots to the liver.
That's true. But see how he jabs and he leans to the left, like you said, to try to get that left to the liver. But then Brooks just says, "All right, thanks very much." And Crawford, he's not averse to doing that. He loves to control guys with his lead hands, with both hands, push them forward, like we saw against Beltran, controlling them and turning them. So if Spence does this, he's just gonna get leaned on for the duration of the fight. But
yeah.
One thing
what do you think about the whole lefty against lefty and the head clashing and the stepping on the feet? You think that's going to be a problem?
I don't know, man. I mean, I think it could be more of a problem if that could be more of a problem if Crawford stays righty. But I don't think it's going to happen that much with when if they're both lefty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I would be very curious to see who actually, like, whether Crawford decides to stay lefty or whether he starts out righty, or that's the one of the most intriguing things. Who's going to get tired first? Because both guys have very good stamina. Um, Spence against Porter, he made the excuse that, oh, I didn't have the juice to finish him, but if I would have been 100%, I would have finished him. I'm thinking, nah, man, I'm thinking he was 100%, and he's just making excuses as to why he couldn't stop Porter, which I don't know why he's so obsessed with it, because it's not like anybody else out there is going to have that much of a good chance at stopping Porter. I mean, Porter's already proven he's probably the toughest 147 guy in the planet. Good luck taking him out. Thurman couldn't do it. What's his name? Garcia couldn't hurt him. Ugas didn't. I mean, he caught him a little bit, but so it's no. By the way, shout out to Sina Musia, Joseph Vona, and James Thornton in the chat. La Evolucion, Johnny Boy in there as well. Shout out to those guys. Gonzalo, this is something we were talking about, the difference between Spence and Crawford. Spence seems to be the more classically trained boxer, and this proves it here. See how he throws a jab upstairs, left to the body, and then he's still in range for Crawford. But what does he do? He blocks the shot. Crawford, as we saw earlier, doesn't really do that. He backs up with his hands down, even though he's in range. He doesn't block shots. So this is a difference. So if it's a battle on the inside, who would you favor?
I'd favor Errol Spence because, like, right there, he's blocking, and the advantage to that, he's not losing position to still drive forward and punch. He's blocking, and he's not losing footing. He's not backing up. He's not swerving out of his intention to continue punching. So he's basically just blocking and punching again. So he's driving forward with his attack.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting one against Danny Garcia, because Garcia's going to try to counter him too. Although I think in that fight, we're going to get to that in another episode, but I think Crawford's going to probably use his skills from the outside. Not that he's going to be moving away and dancing around the ring, but he's going to just stay in the front of Garcia, jab him, and then when Garcia tries to attack or whatever, he's just going to take a little step back and counter. Now, again, inside work. See how Brook is on the inside, leaning on him, trying to clinch him. He tried to set up for a right uppercut here, I think, but Spence beat him to it with his free left hand. And again, Spence has very long arms, but he's pretty good on the inside despite the length of his arms. See that? How he just very good.
Yeah, it's because he's keeping the shoulders. Sorry, he's keeping the elbows tucked.
So all he has to do is turn the body like there, lift the elbow a little bit, right? And just, boom, drive it forward. Drive it to the side.
And also keeping his elbow tucked gives he's got all the weight of his body, of his core, very compact.
Yeah. Well, also the
very
thing here,
short.
Two things. He's leaning forward. He's sitting down, leaning forward, and he turns his shots very well. And then, boom, he catches him with two shots, and then he blocks immediately. See that? That's a defensively responsible guy on the inside, because a lot of people think, oh, fighting on the inside is easier than fighting on the outside. I think it's the opposite. Well, I mean, just for me, I prefer, because I'm long-limbed too, fighting on the outside is easier. Inside, though, you can make a lot of mistakes if you're not used to it. But Spence seems to be very, 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 very comfortable fighting on the inside, as we saw against Porter too. Now, Gonzalo, you know me, I like body shots, man. And Spence delivers them. Spence delivers them with aplomb. So check this out, man. He jabs Brook, backs him up. Again, I don't like him leaning down too much to the left all the time, but anyway. And see this little step here. He steps forward with a jab. Kell Brook steps back, and then he takes another little step, just enough to not be smothered, but at the same time, boom, catches him left. See how he tried to drive the left under the elbow?
Yeah, I like that a lot. You know why? What I'm seeing here, BDA, is, look, if you can just go back a little bit, when he throws that straight jab, he throws it from a distance, and the way he closes the gap from going from long range to short range is impressive.
Yeah, it is, man.
He's
He's
short.
go ahead.
Yep. He's
Yeah, go ahead.
fighting in two dimensions, a long range and short range, within a matter of him stepping into that difference
Mm-hmm.
between the two zones.
I'm gonna show some clips later of how Crawford was able to walk down Kavaliuskas. And his best punch on the inside is the uppercut, but he does not show this level of craft coming forward like Spence does. Again, the jab, and he keeps the distance there. See that little step here? Actually, steps forward with the rear first with the rear foot, and then he pushes the lead one forward, and he keeps a little jab there just to touch Crawford to Brook, keep him in range, and then boom, boom, and then now he's smothered a little bit too much. But then see how he pushes. He's very good at breaking out of the clinches. Spence is.
That's interesting because he doesn't present like he's defensively responsible while attacking.
Mm-hmm.
While going on the inside, he doesn't have a lot of. He doesn't have a leaky. He doesn't have a lot of holes in his game, from what I'm seeing.
Well, I'm going to show you a couple of his holes later on, but the interesting thing here is a comparison between him and Crawford, because Crawford has more defensive holes by virtue of the fact that he fights with his hands down most of the time and keeps his chin up, whereas Spence, do you know that Spence said that one of the reasons why he's such a good body puncher in inside fights is because when he first started out boxing, his first gym, it was mostly Mexicans there. So he learned how...
Yep.
So he learned, that he started out with an inside game first, I suppose. And then later on, maybe he started adding more outside skills. But yeah, man, those body shots. Like, what else do we have here? Okay, this is the other clip we saw. These are more body shots. Let me see what we got here. Okay, so here, well, again, he comes in with a jab, which is what you're supposed to do. Left to the upstairs, which missed a little bit, and then a right to the body. And then see, that's the other thing. This is how also little nuances on the inside. So Brook tries to smother him. He takes the right to the side of the body. He tries to smother him, but look at how Spence has his guard closed. Like you said, Gonzalo, elbows tucked in, so that when Brook tries to hold him, he just has to position himself forward, bend his body a little bit, and here he's got leverage to keep throwing shots with the free hand. See that?
Wow. Very strong, right?
Well, he's got a strong core, but it's also technique. Because if you look at him right away, as soon as Brook tries to clinch him, he drives himself forward and bends his body.
Yep.
See how he positions his feet here? All right, so now he's got the leverage to boom, dig body shots. So Brook, all he can do is hold, and if he throws a right hook or right uppercut, there's not going to be a lot there because he's being controlled by Errol Spence. It's like very, very sophisticated stuff from him.
It's like he's very disciplined. The way he learned how to fight, to implement his technique, his style, is very methodical, and very, very, very how can I say this? He's very good at it.
Yeah. Let's read a couple of comments from the chat room, people. Again, we're doing a little experiment here because we've been doing film analysis over at BDA, our main channel, and I'm trying them out here at BDA Live, but with different software to see if it works, see how comfortable we are with it. Let's read a couple of comments from the chat room, Gonzalo. Mr. Nobody says, Crawford is more versatile than Spence. He can fight orthodox or southpaw. Crawford is also a better boxer. The host and the caller are both clearly Spence guys. Gonzalo, have we been acting like we're Spence fans, or?
No, yeah. Crawford is more versatile. He shows a lot of things that he does on the fly, and I had just mentioned that Errol Spence is methodical. So a lot of people think that he might be more predictable. Like Mikey Garcia said, I see something, but just because you're seeing it, that he has a more methodical style doesn't mean that what you see is as easy as you think, like Mikey thought, because he keeps his elbows tight. He goes from throwing long punches to shorting his shots. He can have good defense because he doesn't present that many holes. He uses his body to like get away from the clinches and punch and return. So you see is what you get, but what you're seeing is not always as easy to understand as you might think to be able to go against, to fight against, to beat.
Hmm. Yeah, and by the way,
So
we were
that's
showing.
what.
Yeah, just to be clear here, we're also showing Crawford clips before, so we're just looking at both guys right now, and right now we're looking at Spence, but we were giving Crawford credit too. We're not. I don't understand that when you point out a guy's strengths and say, "Oh, this might work against that guy," people seem to think that we're shitting on fighter number B or fighter
Yeah,
B. No,
they don't get the whole concept that the film study is when you're talking about, even if it's a fighter that you hate, when talking about
exactly.
like a Canelo or somebody. But speaking about this directly, yeah, you have to like watch from the beginning or understand that it's gonna be a film study about the two guys and not just jump in there and assume that, oh, he's just rooting for this guy. Yeah, because a
Hmm.
lot of people do that. It's weird, really weird.
And by the way, they're saying in the chat room that apparently Crawford and Pacquiao have been talking even before the Brook fight, and that could possibly happen in Dubai. Um, I gotta tell you, man, Pacquiao after being out for 1 year, I don't know, man. I'm not that excited to see uh, Crawford versus Pacquiao. How about yourself, Gonzalo? All right, I think Gonzalo's on mute. Oh, he disappeared. He'll be back, but let's keep going with these clips, man. Because again, I want to show more of Crawford's Spence's inside work here. Very underrated, man. The fact that this is tiresome, by the way, because when a guy like Brook, who's a boxer puncher, wants to take a break and he clinches Spence here, and you see Spence just drags that left hand back and just boom, catches him here on the belt line. Those type of shots, if you start eating them 12 round after round after round, they can hurt. But look at this. He taps him once, then he dips down, brings his weight down, pulls it back, and then he twists his body. Now, this is a harder shot. And then a left hand, and then another body shot, and then another left, and he breaks out of the clinch. So when the guy tries to relax and try to buy a little time, Spence is still working with those type of shots. That can be very tiresome. Maybe not that much physically in the beginning, but mentally, it can be very taxing as well. Now, this is something Gonzalo too. The difference between Crawford and Spence, again, the hands. He likes to parry and block shots more with an active guard. So he sees the right hand coming, parries it just a little bit. See that with that left hand, parries it, dips down while while Brook is flying in the air, and then boom, catches him with a counter left to the body. So
Yeah.
he can
So
counter.
basically, he knew that the punch was coming, and he was still intent on throwing his shot. But he said, like, wait a minute, let me just block his punch while I go ahead and land my own, like I had planned.
Mhm. And again, here, like we saw in another clip, Brook trying to go to the body with the right. Spence brings that glove down with his elbows and has him now in position here with his hand down and boom, catches him with a left. Brook sort of leaned back a little bit away from him, but he got clipped on the chin there. So Crawford's going to have to make, yeah.
And that might be discouraging to a fighter because he knows that he's gonna land this shot, but then the guy's still gonna be in position to punch you back. Because once you see that the guy's blocking your shot and punching in return, that's gotta be pretty like gonna
Discouraging.
wear on your confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially
Now,
if you can't hurt the guy that's gonna punch you back.
mhm.
And Errol Spence got a good chin, right?
Well, speaking of chin, here he takes a left uppercut. Because again, see, that's the problem with Spence. He dips down to the left because, like you said, he wants to dig with that left uppercut to the body. But here he just goes down and boom, catches a left uppercut. To his credit, though, he seems unfazed, and he's using his forearm here. You see his right forearm to keep Brook in control, pins him for a left, which is blocked, but he drives Brook to the ropes. Again, keeps the Gonzalo. Note that how he's keeping his distance here, more or less. He's not driving forward to smother himself. And then a 1-2-1, and then finally Brook is able to clinch him.
Wow, man, Errol Spence is really a hard fighter.
Now, who would you say is stronger, Spence or Crawford?
Oh my God, that's a hard one because I would think that maybe Spence would be stronger at 54 by now because he's 31 years old, and Crawford, he's moving up in weight, but he still looks very strong. So I think they're comparable.
Hmm.
Maybe down the stretch, I would say that maybe Terrence. I don't know, man. Naturally, Errol Spence is a stronger fighter, but he's also kind of outgrown the division, in my opinion. But then Terrence Crawford looks like he's he filled out well to the division, even though he started as a smaller fighter. He can also go up to 54 and just to prove to be as strong. I don't know, man. It's a close one. I'd say naturally Errol Spence is a stronger man. I
Yeah.
can't really say that though.
Well, you know what? If they're up close, body to body, I'm definitely gonna, whether who's stronger or not, I think still Spence with the better technique on the inside, he's gonna have an easier time on the inside than Crawford. But again, like I said, Crawford's got a secret weapon on the inside, and those are his uppercuts. He can throw some mean uppercuts in there. Um, Now you see here again. Now he's got Brook on the ropes. This is the type of shot. This is the type of attack that wore Brook down. So you see Spence there using his right elbow to keep Brook in position there. See how he keeps him pinned on the ropes with that elbow, and he's dipping down, loading up, uppercut to the body, miss there, right to the body, right on the belt line. Those are the shots that take your legs away. Brook is trying to clinch again. The technique and the strength of Spence here with his gloves, elbows pinned to his body. So all he has to do is shove him forward, not really wasting that much energy. And he,
That's right.
as soon as he creates a little distance, he goes back to the body there. Boom, boom. And look
Like
at this.
he uses the gravity. Gravity is always in his favor. The way he's positioned.
Exactly. That's technique right there. He's always in the
Yeah.
right position to slip. See how Brook here is trying to clinch him. He's able to neutralize his right arm, but Spence doesn't really care about that because he'll sit down. See how he pulls his butt out, and he sits down and then drives a left uppercut to the body. Boom! It's just very good technique on the inside, man. Oh, and then that right. Look at this right hook to the flanks here. Oof! And he loads up on it too.
Yeah, Errol Spence is stronger. He's more physical than Terence Crawford.
Well, you know what? We're taking a look at a lot of clips here from Spence. Let's go back to Crawford because again, on the inside, he showed against. And you know what? Let me show you something. A little special treat that I haven't shown yet, which was from the what's it called? There's a clip out there of
Oh wow.
Terence Crawford. He's hold on a second. I'm trying to look for it here, where he's sparring with some two guys over at Gold's Gym, and he's sparring with a welterweight, I think, or he actually looks smaller than Crawford. But then he starts sparring with a middleweight who's got fast hands and speed. I mean, fast hands and power. Excuse me. And man, it turns into a war, and you can see Crawford fighting with a guard and on the inside. So I'm going to show you that right now. Hold on a second. I'm just looking for it. But meanwhile, Gonzalo, what do you think about the clip so far? And does that give you a little bit of an indication of who would you pick, or at least how the fight would go between Crawford and Spence? Would it start out as a boxing match? Would they go to war right away? Like, well, what are your thoughts on what we've seen so far?
Wow. It's pretty even, man. I would have to favor in some things. I would have to favor Errol Spence in the jab and on the inside. And as far as who's got the who hits harder, when you started talking about this, you mentioned the different type of power, and I really
Mhm.
can't decide who's really more powerful because it's really different. But I would to say that Errol Spence is more consistent with his work. And I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just Errol Spence is such a good fighter, but I mean, Terence Crawford is such special talent too that it's hard to say, man. I can't really decide.
That's okay. That's why we're doing this here, because we're trying to find out what exactly would happen. Now, Gonzalo, this is the clip that I'm talking about. Hold on, let me put it up on the screen for people to see. All right, so this is him sparring. See, Crawford's the guy with the green shirt there, like camouflage green and blue shirt. The other guy, I don't know who the
Yeah.
other guy is. I think he's a lightweight, they said, or junior welterweight. And you see, for this clip really impressed me because it's Crawford fighting with a guard, which is something that you don't usually see him fighting with his guard up, kind of like Winky Wright a little bit, or here he's playing around now more. But for most of the clip, he's fighting with, well, he's getting comfortable here, so scratch that. But yes, well, in the beginning he was fighting with guard, but then when he steps in there against this guy, then this is when things start getting interesting. Apparently, the guy in the blue shirt, this guy. Hold on a second, that's not him. Excuse me, fellas. All right, this guy. The guy with the blue shirt and the red headgear. Are you seeing this, Gonzalo, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. The guy with the red headgear and blue shirt, he's a middleweight, apparently. I think he's like Dominican or something, Puerto Rican. He's got fast hands, man. Now, the other dude that Crawford was fighting, he was weaker and he couldn't really pierce the guard. And they went at it for 6 rounds. That's got to be said too, by the way. Crawford already sparred 6 rounds before, and this guy's coming in fresh. But you can see here,
Wow.
the guy is fighting with his hands down. The guy in the blue is very comfortable, and then just lead right, catches Crawford there. So he has a little success. Now, this is the one that really, this shot's there. See, Crawford fighting with a guard, boom. But now he's getting shaken up because this guy's a middleweight. So check this out, man. Jab, snaps his head back. Big body shots here. Wide body shots, but boom, boom. Crawford just staying tight with a guard. And then this guy throws a little left uppercut. And then a good move, which is an overhand right. And then a left uppercut. Boom. But you Gonzalo, look at this shot, man.
Yeah. That's what Errol Spence is going to be showing them in the ring.
That's what I'm saying. So this is like, I wouldn't expect Crawford, though, to box this way, right? Against Crawford, like guard against guard.
What that would play right into Errol Spence's style.
So let me just show. I'm just showing you the success the other guy had, but then Crawford, being the consummate professional that he is, started doing. But okay, but see, this I don't like seeing a fighter, even in sparring, doing this. Like, boom. Those type of shots, Gonzalo, they're the ones that in sparring, if you spar like this too often, it's like fights. They're gonna take something out of you.
Yeah, it was definitely a really, really hard uppercut.
Well, I'm just showing you. I'm just gonna play the clip here a little bit. The guy's having success there. He started out fast though, and you can tell that Crawford's just saying, "Okay, let me let this guy guess." And now he's starting to throw shots, eating too many uppercuts. But now he's landing uppercuts of his own. So let's take a look at this clip and show you that Crawford can fight on the inside. Okay, Gonzalo, you tell me what you do the narration for this one. I'm gonna play it normal and then you in slow motion. All right.
Yeah, he can move his waist. He can shimmy. He can back and forth. Okay, there's a little bit of an ebb and flow. The guy in the blue, he's getting the bigger shots with the left hand, similar to what Crawford is doing. Well, but Crawford he sneaked in a couple of right uppercuts there, and is going belting him to the left and to the right side with hooks too, to the body and upstairs.
He seems to have
the guy in the blue. Yeah, he's punching with power too.
Yeah, he seems Crawford. You can tell he knows how to operate on the inside too. You can see that he catches a shot, gives one back, one uppercut, boom, catches a shot, rolls with the left a little bit, comes back with his own, takes that shot, comes back with his own, and then he ducks underneath. So that sequence right there shows you he's comfortable. Like, see that boom? There's an ebb, like you said, there's an ebb and flow to the whole thing.
Would have to say maybe that I've noticed that that's not the space that Terence Crawford generates the most out of his punches.
No, definitely
that I've
not.
seen. He's punching, he's landing some shots, but they don't look to be as powerful as the blue guys' punches. But that says nothing really. I'm trying to say that maybe Terence Crawford's punches come harder from a different position.
Mm-hmm. By the way, people, we're doing a live stream here film analysis because I'm trying a little experiment with different software as opposed to just doing it with GIFs. So that's why we're doing it here at BDA Live, because it's an experiment, and we're looking at Crawford and Spence fights and general sparring clips, as you can see here, from Crawford sparring some middleweight guy who gave him a very tough session. But keep in mind, this is Crawford who just gone 5 or 6 rounds against some other dude. So that's why he started conserving his energy a little bit. But shout out to Jason Bourne.
Yeah, that's right. He's not punching like with all his power.
No. Now, here, what do I have here? Like, so you can tell on the inside, he never really fights chest to chest like this in his fights. Against Kavaluskas, he put pressure. This was prior to the Kavaluskas fight, by the way. But okay, look at this clip here. He catches a left, stays on the inside, boom, catches him with a right, slips the left, and then boom, catches him with a left. So let's look at that again. He catches a left hook, stays in position, catches the dude with a right hook, and then he leans away from the left hook, and as the other guy, he uses the other guy's momentum as he's off balance, boom, catches him with a left. So you can see, Gonzalo, the difference here also. The other guy in blue, very explosive, started out fast. Crawford let him punch himself out a little bit. Well, not punch himself out, but like he let him throw his shots, empty his tank a little bit, and he's using short shots here that don't seem to take as much energy to shoot as the other guy. Or am I wrong here? Like, is this good conservation of energy from Crawford in terms of shot selection and defense?
Yeah. He's very smart, right? He adjusted like he does, like he knows how to. And now in that combination, it seems like he got the guy in the blue's attention.
I think he did.
Slippery on the inside. Landing a shot, getting away from a shot, and landing a shot in return. Mm-hmm. So he downloaded the information, and I mean, he did well right there.
Yeah, especially like, again, I have to stress, we don't see Crawford fighting like this in his fights, but it's interesting to see that he can do it. See how he just rolls with the shots ever so slightly, and he's in a position to counter when he shifts his weight. And then look at this move here. Shoves him back with his right elbow, and then just, boom, catches him with a little shot. See how he just pushes his hand back a little bit and just drives it forward. Chopping shots on the inside. And then he catches him with a chopping overhand left. The other guy throws shots, but boom, rolls with him. See that? Beautiful technique on the inside, man. And you also, Gonzalo, maybe I don't know if you can talk about this, but how difficult it is sometimes, especially if you're not used to it, to keep your eyes on the opponent and watching him while you're this close to another guy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of flinching, a lot of closing of the eyes. It's almost impossible to keep your eyes open, because it's just a natural reaction of the flickering of the muscles in the eye, man. That's what the body does. So I mean, he got hit with a few punches in the beginning. It's almost like he wanted to take those punches to learn the sequence of the guy in the blues' onslaught. To be able to like download that information, and this further combination that you showed, Terence Crawford got the best of it because he knew what the guy in the blue was going to do, and he was able to do that.
Yeah, the other guys, like, it's that professionalism from what's his name, from Crawford, which he knows he can take his time. It's not a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon, and because I'm not playing you the whole sparring session, so you can't really tell, but if you watch the sparring session in a row, you can see that the guy started very explosive, snapping Crawford's head back, but then you notice how after 2 rounds, he really does start to slow down considerably, and that's when Crawford starts to go to work. Now look at this clip here, the short shots on the inside, but then also taking shots. So let's rewind that. Number one.
Yeah. I was going to say one more thing. It's not impossible to keep your eyes open, but it's very difficult sometimes, because if you get hit in the eyes, your eyes are going to close for sure, man.
Yeah, it's a natural reaction. It's especially because on the inside, it's hard to see. Like, if you and I are fighting and we're at arm's length, we can sort of see, even if you catch me with one shot, the likelihood is that my subconscious caught it. But on the inside, it's like, even if the shots aren't as big as they are from long range because of the range itself, it's still it's shocking because you don't see it coming. That's the main thing. It's the shot that you don't see coming that's going to surprise you the most and shock you the most. So absolutely on the inside, that's why I respect inside fighters a lot, man. People always say, "Oh, fighting on the outside is easier." BS, man. Now this clip, Gonzalo, look at how Crawford hits him with his short shot on the inside. It doesn't seem like much, but look at how he drives his head back. See that?
That's what bewilders me about what I've been noticing in Crawford's punches, man. There's sometimes they're short like here. Sometimes he's got his arm extended where he just drops the hammer just a little bit, but he's rocking fighters, right?
But if you notice his this is his left hand. So if you notice his left shoulder, he sort of clicks it a little bit. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned to, like the wave effect. I mean, it might not be very like noticeable, or like there might not be a lot of distance traveled, but I think with the lifting of the shoulder, he's putting that oomph.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, exactly. It's that shoulder. It's that flicking of the shoulder, that lock of it, unlocking rather. And it's very interesting because the guy in blue probably thinks, okay, we're very close. He's not going to be able to hit me with anything big. Wrong. Just that little motion there with the shoulder, and then driving it up, boom, and then see how he makes him he makes him switch angles here. But then he scores with a left uppercut of his own. This guy is good, by the way. He's got good, fast hands that can break Crawford's guard. So he catches him there. Crawford comes
Is
back.
that Carlos Adame?
You know what, man? Let me check the video, because I know in the comment section people were saying the name. I think they identified who the other guy is. He's from New York, and I think somebody identified him. Terence Crawford sparred. Oh, sorry, it wasn't at Gold's Gym. It was at Gleason's. What am I talking about? Gold's Gym. They don't do boxing over there. It's Gleason's, the legendary Gleason's. Okay, so Terence Crawford counterpunch window is incredible, says one dude. Crawford walked down that fresh middleweight and really was just toying with the guy. I'm trying to see if somebody can. I think his name is Carlito. Carlos something. Now they don't say who it is. Oh, actually, there's a Reddit thread. Oh, you know what? It might be Carlos Adames. Is he a middleweight?
He's a 54-pounder.
Yeah, somebody's saying in the Reddit thread, they're saying, I'm pretty sure the other guy is Carlos Adames. So does that make it more impressive, Gonzalo, or?
Yeah, sure. Guy's a good fighter.
Well, he just lost to Patrick Teixeira. I forgot about that. But still, I mean, he's a super welterweight. Even though Crawford, technically, he does look like a junior middleweight himself. But anyway, let's get back to this. By the way, guys, we're doing a little film analysis here. Crawford and Spence. It's a little experiment over at BDA Live, trying out different software. Mr. Nobody says, what Gonzalo said is why I take Crawford over Spence. You can have success early against Crawford, but he figures you out and then starts throwing different things at you, and it's over. Spence isn't as versatile. Gonzalo, what do you think about that?
Well, that's true. But what you see is what you're going to get with Errol Spence, and what Errol Spence does is very methodical, but it's very functional. What I'm saying is when Mikey said, I see something, yeah, he thought it was very basic, but since he keeps his elbows tucked, he can punch short and he can extend long without telegraphing his shots, and he's a strong fighter. Yeah, what you see is what you're going to get, and if Terence Crawford thinks he can adjust, there's not much adjusting to do there. I mean, the guy's going to come forward. He's going to punch very well. Errol Spence is, and what you see is what you're going to get. So basically, he's got to fight the fight that he can beat the guy to the punch and win on the scorecards or hurt the guy. But just adjusting in itself by Terence Crawford doesn't mean that he's going to figure something out that's going to that's gonna make him beat him, because what you see is what you get with Errol Spence, but what you see is something very very what's the word, BD? Very functional, but it's very like
Are you saying
complete.
it's
He's a very complete fighter.
you're saying it's
He's
simple but highly effective?
highly effective, complete, and there's not much to discover that you can surprise the guy, because what you're seeing is what you're getting, but what you're getting is quality stuff. And like Mikey Garcia said, I see something that I can exploit. Yeah, you're seeing something, but that scene is what you're seeing is very complete, very
Hmm.
functional, and there's nothing much that you can exploit because there's holes in this game. No, it's very complete. So basically,
Well,
what Crawford's got to do, he's got to beat him by outpointing them or knocking them out.
mhm. Look,
There's not that many holes.
I'm gonna show because we saw Crawford sparring and we show he can fight on the inside. But let's show that Spence can also fight on the outside. Now against Kell Brook, he was doing well with the lead hand. The battle of the lead hand, it was Brook had an advantage, but it was like 60-40. Spence wasn't out of the game there. Now in that fight, he beat Brook by pressuring him and beating him down to the body and using that jab of his. But he can also keep the distance pretty well, man. I mean, this is against Lamont Peterson, okay? Notice here how Peterson tries to step in with the right, and Crawford leans back, and he's always got that left hand there to parry the right. So he leans back, and then he steps back, and he makes Peterson have to reach in. See that? He's got good boxing skills. He's not just an inside fighter. Now, this clip here, see how, I don't know why it's lagging so much. Hold on a second. Let's see if I decrease the quality a little bit. See how Lamont Peterson telegraphing his movement, coming in, and Crawford just uses, Spence. Why am I saying Crawford? Spence keeps that right there, controlling him, the range, boom, catches him with a counter left. So he's a good counter puncher, man. He's a good
I
counter
like that
puncher.
he controls him with that lead hand. Errol Spence with that right hand, he can leave it out there like a pole.
Mm-hmm.
And he also uses it as a benchmark to be able to counter you, right? He uses it as a marker,
Exactly.
because you
Yeah.
got that hand out there, you're holding them in position, kind of, so to speak, and then you just have to punch to your own hand, and you're using it as a marker.
Mayweather used to do that a lot too. I get an example of Spence doing more of this. But see how he keeps the distance here? Jab, flicks the jab again, where it's more like a feint, and then he knows when he's in range to throw straight shots to the body. Boom. Well, that's actually more like a hook. It's almost like a semi-hook. Boom. There's another clip here that I think this is it, where he really uses that right hand to. No, that's not it. But those Gonzalo, those straight lefts to the body, they look like they hurt, man.
Yeah, and you know what, BDA, he looks like he's with meat intentions. He's trying to hit you in the liver. He's looking for the liver, not just to land the shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his punches look like. Again, this is what we were talking about now. This is why I wanted to get your opinion, Gonzalo, on the type of power, because we've seen Crawford's power against Hank Lundy and against Kavaliauskas. It's very like wiry power. Spence has long arms too, but his power seems to be very hammer-like. It's like he's trying to break through the guard. I don't know how to say it, man, but it's just different type of power.
He's got good punch placement. I guess, yeah, he's accurate puncher. He likes to touch you with his hands in the exact place where he think he can hurt you. And the shots are heavy, they're thudding. He's got a lot of conviction to his shots.
Mm-hmm. He's
You know
almost
who punches with a lot of conviction?
who?
Mayweather, but Mayweather is not heavy-handed. This guy's heavy-handed, and he punches with a lot of conviction. Not
Yeah.
with a lot of speed, but with a lot of conviction. He does have speed, but not like that explosive speed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, Mayweather could fight on the inside, man. He was a good mechanic, but like you said, this guy's just bigger and heavier handed. And look at this. And this is what you do not. Go ahead.
It's like you know how Mayweather touches the bag and training, like, he places his punches, he taps the bag, he taps it hard for a guy that can't punch hard. He gets people's respect. Well, that's not the point I'm trying to make.
Hmm.
This guy, he hits really hard, and he also does the same type of thing where he taps the bag, looking to punch and land his shot heavy while placing his punch on the bag and doing it at half speed. That even when he doesn't punch at full speed, he's looking to place his punches where he's tapping you and he's tapping you hard. Now, when he's punching at full speed, the guy's landing really hard.
But you can tell the
That's
way
how I can describe his power.
well, you can tell the way he lands his shots. I mean, it looks just like if you mere mortals are gonna be worn down by these type of shots. Now, this is something Mayweather used to do, by the way. See how he punches with the left, but it's really just to distract him, keep Peterson's guard up, and he keeps that right there to block Peterson's view and keep him in range, and then he drives the left down to the body. So he's got tricks up his sleeve. Oh, and then he comes back with the right hook, pushes him forward, and then he pivots away from him.
I like that. He's very I don't know if this is the best comparison, but like back in the 1920s when they have those clips of like the great fighters from yesteryear.
Hmm.
He looks rugged like that. He looks rugged like he uses that lead arm as a to hold you and like or as a marker, where he can partially obscure your vision, then throw that other shot. Very basic, but very savage.
Yeah, savage is a great way to describe him. Like Gonzalo, this is what I call the Mexican combo because it's something that our compadres like to use a lot. Except he's doing it from a southpaw position, which is he throws a left just to make Peterson keep his guard up. Right, I mean, sorry. So he throws a right jab, left uppercut, which breaks the guard, as you can see here. And Peterson's got a good form. See how he's got his guard tight, chin tucked in, but it's still boom, gets through. And then he uses the momentum because he turned with that left uppercut. So now his weight is on his right. So all he has to do is drive it for boom. Like that's what I that's the
Now,
fully,
now, wow, man. And you could almost say that first punch was he used it to open up the guard, right?
but that's yeah,
He
that's the
displays.
point of this Mexican combination, which is the left uppercut makes you close your elbows more towards the center. So then it leaves you open for the hook that comes forward.
That was man, and the way he generated the power to throw that last punch. That last punch is the one that the second punch was hard, but the shot to the body where he created the inertia where the positioning of the shoulder was right there in place to turn to the kidneys.
Hmm.
Man, he generated a lot of force with that third punch. And that first punch, the first one, that jab, what is it? Was yeah, that jab, he kind of opened the guard up for that uppercut. Where that third shot, man, that third shot really came with a lot of force to the kidneys.
Yeah, you can tell he practices to really get that third shot to be the wildest, the hardest. And then, but also the little things here that the details, which is he turns with the right hook, and then immediately he brings that well, not immediately, but almost immediately he brings that right again back up to block because he knows if you
And you
catch.
know what that shows, BDA?
Mm,
You know what that shows? That shows really, really great balance. Because look, he can keep he's a left-hander. The punch that he's supposed to hit the hardest with is the left to the liver,
hmm.
the other hook to the body. But look how hard he's punching to the right side of the body, um, to to Peterson's left, which is on the right side with the right hand. He's
Hmm.
punching really hard with that right hook to the kidneys. So that just tells you the way you also said that he keeps his body tight, his shoulders shows you that he has really really good balance,
That's a good point, man. He does have good
and
balance.
that
Yeah,
that balance allows you to transition from that right to left without getting really really sloppy.
he's got the good look. You can't have. I mean, you can have good power if you have bad feet because we've seen guys who have their legs pretty straight up and nevertheless their punching power is off the charts. But if you, generally you can't have good power if you have bad feet placement. That's just that you don't see that very often. And Spence is an example of a guy that knows how to plant his feet to generate power. It's also he's a strong guy, man. He's just like you see the muscles. I mean, that I know people say, well, muscles don't really say much in boxing. Yeah, they kind of do, especially if you have good technique. If you got that mass behind the speed and the technique, you for sure they're gonna hurt. And it's interesting. You mentioned that most times, the conventional southpaw will try to hit to the body with his left hand because it's his strongest. But Spence just shows you what most power punches should do, which is if you hit hard with both hands, hit whatever you can. The right side, the left side, the shoulders, just whatever. Don't just try to hurt one guy. It's like Miguel Cotto was that type of guy. He would try to set up guys for his left foot, but his right hand to the body wasn't really all that much. And he was just focusing on the left foot. Now you take a look at a guy like Spence. He wants to work both sides of the body. He's not just content with the left hand.
Wow, man, Errol Spence. These clips are showing me something that I have never really watched up closely. Man, Errol Spence is a really good fighter.
Then again, this is Lamont Peterson he's fighting, and the naysayers will say that Lamont Peterson at welterweight wasn't his best weight, and at this point he was already past his peak. What do you think? I mean, it still shows that Spence has good technique, right?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, Peterson's a good fighter, but just the way that Errol Spence throws his punches, I mean, you can't take nothing away from the technique he's displaying.
And let's face it, Lipinets fought a much more decayed Peterson, and he couldn't take him out as easily as Spence did. Now, again, Spence is a big dude and definitely bigger than Lipinets, but nevertheless, I mean, again, this is the Mexican combo here. So this time he leads with the uppercut. Boom. Again, breaks the guard. Not as quick this time, the combination, but nevertheless, boom. And then boom. The right hook to the body. Right behind the elbows, too. Making matters worse for Peterson. I don't know, though, if Crawford's going to allow him to get this close, though. Because we saw how when Beltran was putting pressure on him, he would smother Beltran, turn him, and retake the center of the ring.
And it looks like one thing I have to say about Errol Spence, he like we're watching him here on these clips. The second shot is coming harder than the first, and even the third shot might be coming just as hard as the second shot. So he has a lot of conviction, and he's relentless. He's relentless, and he looks unwavering. He just keeps coming and coming, and it's not only based on determination; it's on technique. His ability to shorten his shots and be in position to punch and close the distance and keep coming forward. That determination, along with the skill factor, it's just gonna really be something that Terence Crawford has never faced before. Mm-hmm. It's unlike anything that Beltran had even done has he faced a puncher like Errol Spence? Never.
No, and Spence has fought a guy like Crawford a little bit in Kell Brook, but Crawford's going to present things that he's never seen before either. Sean Porter had no power, but he had that tenacity and that stamina, but he didn't have power. Brook had power, but he didn't have the endurance. Crawford, on the other hand, I've never seen him tired. I've never seen him get worn down. He's got power too, as we've seen. I think more and more people are starting to wake up to the fact that he's got power. They tried to discredit the Brook win, but look, he's, if Brook would have fought any other guy, even if he was wagering or whatever, the other guy would have had a hard time to stun him or stop him. Crawford's got that speed, that velocity that you don't see coming. That's what hurts. Gonzalo, look at this clip here again.
Yeah.
See this right hook, how jab, flicking jab, left hand, breaks the guard, and he's in the perfect position to throw right. And notice Peterson's elbows. See how he drives it back after taking it? Like, he felt that fucking shot right there.
yeah, for sure. And the balance is, yeah, okay, he's a left-hander, but he punched really hard with the right hand. Can he deliver a shot with the left? Yes, he did. He can, and he
Mhm.
does.
Well, you know what? Let's take a look at, because it's going to be very interesting to see if Spence can take a good shot. And Danny Garcia is a good puncher. And after Spence's accident, we don't really know how he's going to react to a good puncher. And speaking of good punchers, this was in Crawford's previous to last fight against Kavaliuskas. And he really did wear Kavaliuskas down. Now, I want to show you this combo here, Gonzalo. See, he's putting pressure. Now, you compare the pressure to the one that Spence fight puts. Not, he seems to be more straight up. He doesn't bend down as much as whatchamacallit, Spence. But he has power. Look at this. Like, he's got, like, I'm telling you, it's wild when he starts coming forward, but he's pushing Kavaliuskas back, and Kavaliuskas is a strong guy, man.
Yeah, it's those chopping shots that are coming down, like the comparison you made about how Margarito gets a lot of leverage on the uppercut going upwards. Then chopping shots going down, man. Yeah, they got a lot of power behind those.
Look at this. He's moving Kavaliuskas back. Like, I remember when I was watching this fight live, I was thinking, holy shit, excuse my language, but man, he's pushing Kavaliuskas back. And he does it smart because he's coming forward, but then look at this. See, he's got the wherewithal to try new things. He's on the inside, leans back, and whacks him. And again, it's those short shots. It's like he's at the mid-range. He's not far away. He's at the mid-range. Boom. And you can see those type of shots start adding up. And they did add up. And then he came with this shot here. It's like a wallop of an overhand right.
Wow.
I dare say, I think the only other guy who could do this to Kavaliuskas is Errol Spence. And maybe Jaron Ennis, who's been looking sensational his past couple of fights, but although still think he needs, I would like to see him against somebody else, just to see what happens. Not top 10 middleweight, welterweight. But so far, Crawford's the only guy who's been able to handle Kavaliuskas like this. Here you see him putting pressure against Kavaliuskas. Again, different type of pressure, more wild with his shots than Crawford, Spence. And Gonzalo, one thing you will notice about the sequence is very few body shots.
Yeah.
He's headhunting.
So it's like, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I think that Crawford, as the fight goes down the stretch, the pressure he'll be putting on Errol Spence will be enough to battle back to maybe win them some rounds, and it's gonna be such a tough fight that I can't call it, man.
Well, I'll tell you who can.
He's putting pressure on these guys early, right? We saw in sparring what we did after fighting the guy 6 rounds. He came stronger against a bigger guy. He knocked out Brook in 3 or 4 rounds, and he took out Kavaliuskas early. Mm-hmm. And going down the stretch, Errol Spence, he's having to cut weight. As we saw against Mikey, he couldn't take him out. So this guy's going to be going from less to more. If he can't get Errol Spence out of there early like he did against these guys, which is not going to happen, I think he's going to bring the pressure late. So I think, Terence Crawford, man, he's also relentless.
That's the thing. That's why I'm so excited to see this fight, because both guys, like, okay, Crawford is not as he doesn't go to the body as often, but he's faster than Spence in both hand and foot speed, but he's also willing to get in the trenches and walk. Because here, again, like I showed you in the other clips before of Kavaliuskas was having a lot of success with his jabs and with his overhand rights. And Crawford was having a harder time than he expected on the inside. And it's almost like he said, you know what? I'm not going to be able to beat him on the outside as easily as if I maybe just walk him down, see what happens. And man, he walked this guy down. So like you said, it's going to be two relentless dogs, and it's going to be interesting to see who can adapt, and if the other guy can't adapt, can he withstand what the other guy brings? Because
Yeah,
yeah.
and even on the outside, BDA, it's not a given that Crawford beats Errol Spence because we saw also dimension wise, Errol Spence is long and he throws straight jabs down the pipe, and he
Hmm.
likes to use that lead hand also to as a marker, right? He likes to keep that arm extended as well,
Right.
right? So it's not like Terence Crawford is gonna win that the real estate battle on the outside either.
Hmm. Exactly, man. So, man, you know what this fight reminds me of? Not necessarily styles, but in terms of the quality of both fighters, reminds me of Triple G Golovkin. I mean, Triple G Golovkin, Triple G Canelo 1. When we saw Canelo handle Miguel Cotto, essentially outbox Miguel Cotto, he didn't bully him. He outboxed the smaller guy. He was able to bully guys like Liam Smith, who didn't really hit that hard, knocked out Amir Khan, bullied the bigger Chavez Jr. Meanwhile, we saw Golovkin outboxing punchers like Curtis Stevens and Lemieux, and then stopping them. We saw him bully guys and stop guys, boxers like Willie Monroe and Rosado. So when they finally got together, it was like, okay, can Canelo body punching and power get Triple G's respect? And can Triple G, if he can't knock Canelo out, can he outbox him? Can he outwork him? And in the second fight, you saw that both guys were like two tanks, just boom, boom, plowing forward against each other, and see who was gonna give out first. And nobody really did give out. So that this is the type of fight that I'm. This is why I'm excited about this fight, because it's gonna be two massive fighters, very talented, skilled, bumping up against one another, and it's going to be interesting to see if anybody, if at all, wilts. That's the big question for me, because it's two savages in there, and I don't know who has the mental. They're both mentally strong, so who's going to break first, if at all? Who's going to box? Who's going to punch? You know what I mean? It's just there's so many questions, and that's what makes it a good fight, because you don't know what's going to happen. Or what do you think?
Yeah, that's on another level. I mean, it is. You could even say the same thing about the Garcia versus Errol Spence fight. That's going to be intriguing, but this
Hmm.
is just on another level.
Hmm. Because Garcia, we have
Because
seen him lose. We've seen him tire, like against Lamont Peterson. He got very tired. This guy Crawford, though, we've never seen him tired. We haven't seen him come close to losing at this. Well, actually, yeah, we did sort of see him come close to losing against Benavides, even though I think they had him ahead on the scorecards. Let me check that. But then again, Benavides was a very long fighter. Well, kind of like Spence a bit, if you think about it. I mean,
that's right.
obviously taller than Spence, but still, huh? I don't have clips. I don't have clips of that. You know what, Gonzalo? We're gonna have to. I'm gonna take a look at that fight and catch some clips. Maybe I know Benavides was a right-hander, but maybe he can tell us a little bit about how Crawford does at long range. So I'm looking at the scorecards here. I think Crawford. Okay, come on. 107, 102, 110, 110, 110 to 99, and 108 to 101, all for Crawford. So all the judges had him winning going into the 12th round. Like they had him winning 7 rounds. No, what? Yeah, one judge had him winning every round. The other had him winning 10 rounds, and the other had him winning 8 rounds. No, sorry,
Yeah, that's
8 rounds. 8 rounds. Yeah, so that's okay. Come on. Come on. Well, you know what? Maybe I should rewatch the fight. But yeah, man. But even look, listen. Despite all that, Crawford took him out, man. That gosh darn power of his, he can still take you out in the first or in the 12th. Very interesting,
yeah,
man.
and Benavides he fought that fight on the outside, right,
Yeah.
using his length.
Hmm.
I think that although Errol Spence he boxes well from the edge of his wheelhouse from the outside, throwing that power jab, he's gonna try to come inside like he always does and do his best work to the body and break down his opponent. So he's gonna come forward. He's gonna bring that fight out of Terence Crawford.
Yeah, absolutely, man. They're both going to bring out the best in each other, I expect. But again, there's a big there's a big question mark, I should say here, and which is Spence. How's he doing after the accident? How's he going to look against Garcia? Is he going to beat Garcia? So those are the questions we're going to be looking forward to. Anyway, fellas, this was a special BDA film analysis, a little bit of a test here at BDA Live to see how it works. Gonzalo, anything else you want to say before we move on?
That's all.
That's all. Well, listen, Gonzalo, thank you for coming in. It was it was more exciting to do it two people than just me alone. Fucking experiment. So I want to thank you, man. Always appreciate your input and your cooperation here.
Hey, thanks, BDA.
Thank you, man.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Did you say insala?
Thanks a lot.
Oh, thanks. I
Thanks
thought
a
you said insala, like a Muslim. I said, why? I knew you were going Muslim over there in the Philippines. They got the MILF organization, right? The Muslim International.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay,
anyway,
Shukran, BD.
hey, but by the way, tomorrow we're gonna be doing an episode over at BDA, regular BDA. We're gonna talk about the Callum Smith Canelo fight, which has been announced. I don't know if you heard.
That's right.
It's gonna be interesting, man. Fucking Callum
Yeah, I'm
Smith.
excited.
He's, Kovalev is what, 6'1", 6'2". This guy, Callum Smith, he looks like he's 6'3.5" or at least 6'4" or something. So it's
Winner of the Super Six, the Super World Champion, Ring Magazine title. He's like 29 or 30. He checks a lot of the categories for a guy that we've been wanting Canelo to face.
exactly.
Younger guy.
I don't
But
know.
There's also these things that you can say that he's not fulfilling. He's coming off a bad loss. He got awarded a dubious decision. He's kind of like, we don't know if there's going to be a weight clause implemented. He looks a little dehydrated because he's so tall. But anyways.
All right, yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about that tomorrow, man. So come up with some great points, some great tips, some viewpoints, and we'll throw them out there tomorrow evening. Thanks a lot, guys. Everybody that joined us: Tito Toledo, Mr. Nobody, Jason Bourne, James Thornton, Sina Masia. Tito Toledo says it's gonna be a scrap. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be easy, man, for Canelo. Just the height disparity alone, he's gonna have to work his way in there. And I'm gonna look at the John Ryder fight again, just because he was able to get it on the inside against Callum Smith. So you would assume that if Callum Smith was able to do it, John Ryder was able to do it, then Canelo would be able to do it too. But hey, you never know, man. You never know. Anyway, shout out to everybody out there. Thank you for joining us. BDA Live. Catch us tomorrow at BDA. If you haven't subscribed to BDA Live, do so, even though it's pretty quiet lately. But hey, why don't you just go ahead and do it? Do me a solid, all right? Take it easy, fellas. Have a good night.